Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside the Park for May for podcast number 964. It's a big number. Why? Because that's a podcast every single week for 20 years. We've been doing this, 964. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not
AKA
now.
Negative Camera. Tonight, for your kind consideration, we're going to cover the Brazilian Grand Prix because you know what we do.
We watch one, then we talk about it. Then we watch one, then we talk about it. Come on, Todd.
That's exactly what we do. Before doing that, though, I have to go find our guest, our co-host.
Ripped from out of the wasteland. He's bad, he's beautiful, he's crazy.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Charles, the International.
You know, in certain neighborhoods in Sao Paulo, he's known as Paul Ferradura, Charsley.
Yeah.
Just certain neighborhoods.
Certain ones.
Certain ones. And not necessarily the best neighborhoods. But that's
definitely
what he's
not the
known.
best ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
but Paul, you come from a long, hearty lineage of lords of Wessex. You know, had it been up to you and had you been alive, you'd have driven those Mercians all the way back north where they belong
Yes.
and protected
indeed.
Wessex. But nobody called you. You
No.
know? Yes.
Yeah, and also may have died when I was 25 of old age. Or whatever.
Dysentery.
Yeah, dysentery.
Yeah. So, Paul, it's been a mystery.
Rats.
It's been a mystery for a little while about
Okay.
our friend Ollie Behrman.
Yes.
And you and I have had this off podcast as well, even on podcast. We were talking about we can't quite place his accent because, like you said, he's born like 30 miles from where you were, and you
That's
were like,
right.
how can he not talk like he's from Essex or Kent?
Yeah,
or,
Essex. Yeah, he's
it's
from
Essex,
Essex,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but you did a little sleuthing. You and our crack team did a little sleuthing and found out. Now, explain to everyone why Ollie sounds so damned weird.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure it's a really good explanation, quite honestly, but evidently he spent a lot of time in Italy. And supposedly his language has been morphed because he's had to talk to so many people that don't speak English. So I don't know what that means, why he speaks that way still, but evidently that's it. I guess he grew up racing a lot in Italy and obviously was part of the Ferrari Academy, so he had to learn how to communicate with the Italians. I can understand if he's using his hands a lot with still an Essex accent, you know, and the Essex people do use their hands a lot, just in a different way for different reasons. But so anyway, that's evidently the explanation as to Ollie Behrman's weird English.
Okay. In fairness to Ollie, this guy is Italian.
Jesus Christ.
And that was Flavio Briatore, and he's hard to understand.
Yeah.
So
He's very hard to
so
understand.
maybe there's something to it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows? There you go. Well,
Anyway.
I know most of you are sitting at home just anguished, teeth gnashing about why Ollie sounds so different. Now you know the answer.
Certainly bothered me, evidently.
It really bothered. Well, it would, damn it. You're from Essex, and so is he.
Yeah.
You know? There's no
There's a
damn
good reason
excuse.
I might have a silly accent now. you know.
Well, because you've been over here in America. We stole you years ago. We wouldn't let you go home.
Yes.
And we stole you, and then you moved here to the Midwest where I'm at, and you know, people say, "Well, why don't you say Charlotte?" Well, because I'm not French. I'm not Monegasque. I'm American English. Why don't you say Isaac? Because I'm not French. It's Isaac in English. So
That is correct.
anyway, all right. Hey, let's talk about the Brazilian
Hey,
Grand Prix.
oh,
because-
speaking of mispronouncing, sorry.
Yeah.
What's his name? Valsecchi. He's the worst. He's Italian.
Oh,
Did you ever see the grid walk with him trying to pronounce every
Yes,
driver's
that
name?
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
that was
that's-
great.
That is
Okay,
amazing.
Paul, we're going to talk about the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's so great. What did you think? Yeah, it's so
Shut
good.
up. David A with an E.
With an E. Isn't that a cologne? I don't know. All right.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, he probably wears it. He can pull it off.
We could.
The Brazilian Grand Prix happened this weekend.
Yes, it did. A classic.
Yeah, it is a classic between the lakes down there in Sao Paulo, and about a little over 300,000 Brazilians crammed into the grandstands, and to see their hometown hero.
The dodgy grandstands at that.
Yeah, I know. Did you see those pictures that our friend sent us? Yeah.
Yeah,
It looked
that's
like
crazy.
a state of disrepair. That's a putting it lightly for you.
I'm not getting up in that thing, I'll tell you.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. I'd be sitting on a blanket on the ground. However, they're all there to see hometown hero Gabriel Bortoleto. We'll get into his week when we get to Sauber. Also, a couple things I thought was interesting. So Pirelli brought a step harder compound. So all three tires were a step harder than they did last time. Perhaps lending some credence to the, and it's important to get this right, diamond cut sections of the asphalt, or as you British might say, bitumen. Okay. So anyway, the harder compounds, and it was interesting. I was watching on Friday practice, because I had that one practice, then it's qualifying, the sprint, and then qualifying, and all that kind of stuff. But I was watching all that, and I was thinking, this is kind of interesting. The tire deltas, degradation seemed to be kind of around all over the map. There was tire deltas between the compounds. Very interesting to see what their strategy is, what they ran on Friday or what they didn't run, conserving their tire sets or whatever they might have been doing. Yeah, it was interesting, and it kind of lent itself to wondering as I went in to qualifying for the sprint. I was like, this very well may be a two-stopper, and as it turned out, I think it added some to the strategy, and who was doing what on tires a little bit. So that was good. A lot of two-stoppers. There's always that threat of rain that lingers around Brazil, but it was, and we saw that amazing performance last year in the rain from Max. But I would say we saw another amazing performance from him in the dry. Lando is really dominating the weekend all up to Sunday, fastest in every session, won the sprint, came into the weekend, Paul, 1 point ahead of Oscar Piastri, his teammate. The Red Bull struggled a lot, and Max was really out to lunch during qualifying, leaving him starting from pit lane with a brand new PU and a complete setup change. But would it work? That was the big question. Realistically, down, if he wasn't in the top 15, if he didn't get a Q1, that was absolutely the right thing to do, is just make a PU change heading to the final races, change the car to the setup you think would actually work. And it certainly paid dividends. So
it certainly did.
Yeah, it was interesting lead up to that. They even had Rubino on F1 TV. It was good to see Rubino.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Met him this year.
Did you? Yeah,
Actually, I've met him a couple of times now.
Yeah. Well, you're on a first name basis with him now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Rubino. Hey, Paul Ferradura Charsley. Yes. Yep. And so that was good to see Rubino in there. Because of the debacle at YouTube TV and Google being greedy and dropping Disney, ESPN, and Hulu, or not Hulu,
at the last minute.
ESPN at the last minute, I had to quickly secure me a subscription to the F1 TV, the F1, because I like the F1, Paul.
Yes,
and,
the F1 is good.
The F1 is good. And so I got that, and so I watched it, but then I found you could hit the little international thing, you get Sky, so I had me some Martin Brundle during the race, which was good. So nothing against Alex Jakes or
no, I think those guys actually do a pretty good job.
I do too. I do too.
Joylin does a good job, and
I think Alex does a much better job. Alice Powell did a great job, and Hinchcliffe does a good job. I think Alex does a much better job than the guy they got to sit in for Crofty. What's his name, Harry or whatever? He's just tedious as hell. But anyway, so the Grand Prix, Lando Norris squarely went in and absolutely beat this weekend up. Took the stuffing out. It had his foot on its neck. Converted pole position to a P1. Oscar Piastri, yet another, 3 P5s now. And we'll start off with Lando. Lando had a good start. And he had a good restart, Paul, managing the race in the pace. The team opted for the two-stopper using the soft compound, and with Max out of sequence, I was thinking, ooh, I was almost pearl clutching. I was wondering how this strategy would work out because Max had his strategy going and it was paying dividends. And I thought, oh, man, I don't know. He's out of sequence with this work, but I wasn't entirely sure how it played out. And thankfully, the team doesn't call me for strategy because absolutely they nailed it. The softs worked a treat. And question is, would it have worked a treat if Oscar hadn't got his penalty? But we'll get into that in a minute. But he won by 10 seconds. Lando clawed out a 24-point lead in the championship this weekend. And really, he's showing real pace, real focus, very determined. A lot of people wondering if Lando had this in him, and certainly after the Dutch Grand Prix, he was fastest in every session sprint, won the race. I mean, at this point, Paul, I myself was wondering, man, I don't know if he's got that, the bit between his teeth, if he's got that. But right now, he certainly is driving like a champion. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think we ever doubted he could drive that well. No. But there was some ebbs and flows to it. Yeah. And usually when he was felt under pressure. Yep. And I feel like Oscar's kind of given him a red carpet to drive without pressure. Yeah. I mean, Oscar's nowhere to be seen in his mirrors for the most part. Right. And so Lando he's not making mistakes. He's driving very, very well. And it's quite a turnaround, honestly. And I'm not sure. I think the turnaround merely has been on the other side of the garage on the downward cycle rather than Lando at the top. But as I said, under pressure, he can make some bad decisions, some mistakes here and there. Yep. But right now he's full of confidence, and I don't think that can be taken out of him now at this point in this charge to the end of the season. You
feel like the momentum is there definitely with him.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, Oscar had a couple of races to try and claw it back. He still had championship lead up until last race. So if he had been able to put in a good performance, he could have put Norris on notice. But right now, Norris is feeling like the world is right before him, opening up. It's crazy.
Right. Well, and it's we're still not over. Anything can happen. He could get a DNF or something like that. Anything can happen. But definitely, I feel like that momentum is on his side. Let's talk about Oscar for a minute. Tougher weekend for him. Yet another P5 with the crash in the sprint. That was brutal. To be fair, he wasn't the only one that ran wide there. There was definitely water or something that caught 3 cars out.
For sure, but he's running for a world championship. He's got to be better than those guys.
You got to be better. Yeah, got to be better than the Alpine and the Sauber. But I guess there's a lot of debate this week, and we'll get into the penalty in just a minute. Before we do, it's certainly a lot of debate about Oscar in general, about the penalty, whether that was fair or not. We'll get into that in a minute. First, I want to talk about something you alluded to. Some are wondering where the pace went, and we could look at it from a couple perspectives. Has Oscar's pace eroded under pressure, or has Lando finally connected, and now he's running on all cylinders, meaning that he was a bit flat at the beginning of the season, but now has found a true pace and rhythm, got around the pressure, got around the mental doubts and those kind of things? Or is it a combination of the two? In your feeling that maybe it isn't so much Lando performing and coming on song with both mentally and physically on track, right? So much it is maybe Oscar is feeling the pressure, maybe leaving too much on the table.
Yeah, I definitely do. As I said, I don't think there was much between them on pace if you just leave them out there in a vacuum. Yeah. But I think, if Oscar's right behind Lando, it's a whole different story, and he really should be there. But he's in 5th place, 3 fifth places. Yeah. I mean, there's no pressure at all. Lando's just able to drive exactly how he wants to drive, push when he needs to push, protect the car when he needs to protect it. That's why you put pressure on other drivers, is to make them make mistakes, and he's had no pressure to make mistakes by.
In a lot of ways, we said this, and you said this very pointedly many moons ago. even before summer break, that you felt like this season, we both commented that this season really could come down to qualifying. And because he's not on his tail, because he's not on his tail in qualifying or ahead of him in qualifying, this is a challenge. Yeah,
and Lando, luckily for him, hasn't been put under pressure into turn one by whoever's qualifying next to him either.
Yeah.
The good thing he's done is actually get really good starts.
Yes.
Because his choice is, if Kimi had somehow got a really good start and was inside him, Lando kind of has to play the championship role at that point.
Yeah.
But he hasn't actually had to make that decision yet because he's had such great starts.
Yeah.
So that, I think, it has been crucial. Qualifying, obviously, as you just said, is crucial because you're leading the pack at the start. Yeah. And and as I said, even at Mexico, where historically pole position's been a nightmare to retain the lead going turn one, but he did it. So I think that combination, great starts, great qualifying, has kind of taken the pressure off of him as well. I mean, look at it. Both these guys have never been in this position before.
Right.
I mean, they knew coming into the season they had a weapon that can win the World Championship, and they're both kind of finding their way. My opinion of Oscar was he was more mentally strong than Norris, but of late, he's kind of disappointed. So what do you make of that? I don't know. Can he come back from that? I don't actually know now. Before, I would have argued that Piastri is going to win the championship because he's a stronger mind and more methodical. But sometimes I feel like perhaps he's just a little too calm. Mm-hmm. He's a little too, he needs to get something, pull something from inside of him and get something, do something different because he needs to do that at this point. He's put himself in a position where he really needs to do something. He's nearly a race win away from Lando, and Lando can just finish second in every race and win the championship at this point.
Right.
Luckily for Oscar, he's got the spoiler of Max Verstappen, hunting down. And now Oscar's more vulnerable to second place in the championship than 2 races ago. We thought for sure Lando was the one that was next on the chopping block. Yeah,
for sure. Let's talk about the penalty. Stewards said that he had tried to make the pass down the inside. This is at the restart, folks, lap 6. And so Oscar came down the inside at turn 1. You had Kimi on his right-hand side, and then on the right of Kimi, you had Charles Leclerc. And so Kimi trying to take a run at Charles, Oscar trying to take a run at Kimi. They go into turn 1, 3 wide. And as they came in, there was a brief lockup from Oscar on the inside. He touched the side of Kimi, knocked him out wide, who took off the tire and broke suspension of Charles Leclerc, sending him off track and retired for a DNF. The stewards ultimately said his front axle was not alongside the mirror of Kimi, that he locked up the brakes, so he clearly wasn't in total control of his car. And he caused a collision, so he got a 10-second penalty. But, Paul, you vehemently disagree with this.
Vehemently, I do. Yes, I don't like this penalty at all. And I've been talking offline with a friend of mine about it. I don't think I convinced him, but that's okay. I mean, as I said to him, it's like if we're just literally going to measure things by angles and trajectories, then let's have referees and not expert drivers in the seat, because every corner has its different.
You had Pedro Lamy and Luciano Berti as the stewards here.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get some good drivers in there, maybe. But I mean, they got experience. They should know certain things. But every corner is different, right? It's not that corner in turn 1 at Brazil is really, different from a lot of other corners. There's a lot of camber fall away. Yeah. There's, the camber changes completely from one side of the road to the other. I'm not buying into the fact that because he locked up his tire that he lost control, because he didn't lose control. He kept his line. The tire locked up a little bit. It was because of that camber drop off, and he actually managed it really well. If he'd have lost the line a little bit at that lockup, lost the front end and kind of pushed away from the apex, I would have said, okay, fair enough. He kind of didn't get it right, but he did everything he could to try and keep to that line, because he actually saw what Kimi was doing. Visually he could see see in front of him that Kimi was just going to start bringing it down.
That's
even
what
though
Oscar said. He locked up because he saw Kimi wasn't going to give him space.
Right, he wasn't giving him space, and so whose fault is it? I'm not even going to blame Kimi for it. I'm going to say it's a racing incident because you're racing in a turn, you're going side by side. Also, people saying, "Oh, well, it's because Leclerc was on the outside." Well, perhaps Piastri's not, knowing what Leclerc's going to do either. Right? And you can't sit there and second guess everyone else's. What if he goes here? Oh, I'm going to back off. You can't do that. And if you looked at in car, actually, when they actually got on the brakes, Oscar was completely alongside. But then as he saw Kimi coming across, he kept a little bit more pressure on, and that's why he locked up the brake as the camber went away to try and avoid a collision. Kimi still had room off to the right. Leclerc was way wide. Charles did a great job and did the right thing. He gave him plenty of room out there. Kimi still had a little bit more room. He just chose not to use it because that's what we do as race car drivers. We try and pinch down on people. We try to take their corner away. And I think Kimi just got it a little bit wrong. But I wouldn't give him a penalty either. I would just say it was a racing incident.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I saw it. As a racing incident.
If we can't have these guys make these moves, I don't want to watch the race. I mean, he was so far alongside. That's what I'm saying. It's like, if you want to say, oh, well, the mirror and the right, well, which part of the corner are you measuring the mirror and the wheel, right? But you got to think about what's coming up, and the Oscar was doing. Oscar could have just lunged in there, right? But he was actually doing everything to protect his car. He's trying to protect his championship. He doesn't want to make contact with anybody. He wants to get the pass made, but he's definitely not going in there, with his hair on fire. I think he did an impressive job in keeping control of that car. I think Kimi just came down, misjudged it a little bit, got a little too tight on Oscar, and then the contact was made, and then Charles was the victim. So
there you go. See, folks, right there. If you wanted, Paul's gone all Senna on us.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
There you go.
Right. But that's what these driver stewards should be evaluating. You can't just say, well, it's this point they weren't here. Well, but you got to look backwards. You got to look at the build-up. You got to look at what was happening. That Charles actually adjusted what he was doing to try and avoid the contact, but Kimi kept coming down. And Kimi says he gave him room, but he didn't give him enough room. There's no way. Yeah. If he would have, there wouldn't have been contact because Charles was Oscar was all the way tight on the apex, and he didn't move away from there.
Right.
So I don't like it at all. I think it was a ridiculous.
It's a harsh penalty.
And it's a very harsh penalty, and we could talk about it because it affected the championship so much. But even if it didn't affect the championship much, I still think it was a bad penalty. I'm not calling the penalty because it ruined Oscar's attempt to try and win the world championship. I'm calling it because it's a bad call on a racing incident, and we got to. It doesn't seem like a racing incident happens anymore.
No, except for lap one at the start, and they're a little more lenient on that.
Yeah, maybe.
But this seems almost to be a little formulaic, if you ask me. And I saw
it really does.
I saw today on social media. Well, this is the Max Verstappen rules because anybody can dive bomb down the inside, and it
wasn't a dive bomb. I mean,
but that isn't the case. I would also argue, as Grace and I have umpteen times over the years, 20 years, is that you cannot penalize outcomes. And I think there was a little bit of that going on here too, because he took, and then Charles lost, he was out of the race. Charles had nothing to do with it, and he's out of the race. And that was a terrible result. It was, a terrible result.
But stuff happens.
But that happens, and you can't penalize outcomes on that. So yeah, I think the whole rules and everything on this, back in the day when Max Mosley was the FI president, they were always very careful to make these sort of black and white things like that and say, well, didn't have front wheels at the mirror at the apex. You had a little bit of lockup. There's just more nuance to that. And they were, more. Charlie Whiting and team were a little more circumspect about those incidents. There's incidents that I would have thought in the past, that seemed totally fine, but they were like, no, that's not fine because of the situation, the corner, those kind of things. And it's so easy for us to sit and look at that in slow-mo and say, well, he should have just turned more. Well, not at that speed, not at that camber, and not at that angle.
No,
it happens in fractions of a second.
But when you're at the maximum of the car, you can't do anything more.
No.
That's what people don't understand sometimes. It's like, if you're at maximum braking and you're loaded the tire up, anything you do is going to take grip away. It's going to make it worse.
That's right. That's right.
It's not like you have a choice to just turn tighter. If you could turn tighter, then you should have gone through the corner faster.
Yeah,
but they're at the limit of the tire. Anything you do beyond when you're at the limit, whether it be the brake pressure or with the steering angle, loses grip in the tire, and you lose the corner. And
that's universally true. It's not just about Oscar. Your Roman could be in your Valkyrie at Sebring. Same rules apply. I mean, if he's coming down the inside and he's committed and he's, on the brakes and then lifting and he's trying to get through, anything you do, certainly in braking while he's braking, you turn instantly, you lose that grip, It's just, so that's a truism for racing, period. I think it was a harsh penalty. I felt like, I kind of viewed it as a racing incident. Let me ask you this. Had he not got a 10-second penalty, do you think this is how it would have ended? Do you think he would have been right thereabouts with Lando?
I think he would have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
the one thing about these penalties is I think we're victims of the social media or the ability to just dive so deep into every little millisecond of some. When you're driving, you can't do that, and so it's very easy. Maybe they're making this decision because they know that people are going to sit there with their diagrams and their line graphs and all this kind of stuff, saying, "Well, he wasn't here, and this is what the rule says." Like, there needs to be a bit of reasonability to that, and that's what those driver stewards should be bringing to the party.
Yeah,
because if they're just, as I said, if they're out there with the bar chart and the line graph and looking at it, then we don't even need you there. You need to bring it from the driver's side. Either way, but you need to actually. They should be the experts to bring it from the driver's side with non-partisan opinions.
Yeah, I agree. They should have. Pedro and Luciano should both know. There's no, the camber falls away. You're downhill now. You crusted, and you're downhill. It's starting to go downhill. Their camber's away. You're at speed. You're on the inside. You've picked the apex. It's going to be shot. Tight turn in, and Kimi's starting to come over. And there's just that nuance that only a professional driver would have real sort of line of sight to and understanding of, that a steward that maybe was just a motoring club guys and done some track days. Maybe they're even a gentleman driver, but in the heat of battle in Formula One, you'd like to think that the stewarding would be first class. Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know how much these guys actually steward. I know they've got Formula One experience. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of drivers who I'm thinking, well, you can drive, but you don't have a brain, to analyze things. You just got natural talent that overextends itself beyond, being analytical. Is this the first time they've ever been a steward in an F1 race? That also is difficult, because they don't know what or how they should behave or what their place in the room is.
Yeah, no, it's true. Let's see. Let's talk about Mercedes, shall we? That seems... Why not? Let's talk about Mercedes.
Get down.
George Russell, P4. Kimi Antonelli, P2. George started on mediums. Kimi started on softs. Maybe that was part of the issue for George at the start, as Kimi managed to retain P2. George lost a position. He got jumped by Lawson at the start. He was on mediums. After the pit stops, though, both were running effectively nose to tail, but George radioed concern. He was having a lot of brake heating issues and was having to do some Lyco there, but he seemed to be struggling more than Kimi really all weekend. During qualifying, Q3 final run, he said, I'm just nowhere with these softs, and his final run was made on mediums. He improved his time, too. And so, I'm just wondering. But, obviously managing brake temps were probably the element that kept him off the podium for sure. He just couldn't seem to find the pace that Kimi had. and the pace needed for P3 really all weekend. And that was a bit of a surprise for George.
Yeah, it would definitely be a surprise for George. I mean, he's performing very well this whole year, but there's no doubt that Kimi's kind of been on a bit of a charge in putting the experience that he's getting in the season, not making the mistakes and really showing the pace that obviously Toto had faith in.
Yeah.
Certainly not saying he got it over on George now, but it's going to happen that on occasion he's going to get it right, and he's going to have a little bit of advantage over a weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it was any huge miscalculation or error on George's driving. I just think that he never could get really comfortable with that car at this track. As you mentioned, though, Kimi, what a great weekend he had. Very good weekend. Looked good in qualifying and the sprint. So no surprises. He did really well on Sunday. Managed his race and pace under immense pressure from Max late in the race, and he still managed to keep it all together and took P2, which is great. Kimi says he doesn't think they were the quickest car this weekend, but the team did a good job, and he managed to maximize what it was they actually had. So he felt good about that. I agree with him. I think it was a fantastic drive from him, given where he was just a few weeks ago. And with Oscar and that altercation with Oscar, that didn't help things much, but he still managed to hang on to P2. And you have to applaud, really, the Mercedes P2, P3 in the sprint. So, I mean, they were thereabout. And because of that result and Kimi's P2, George, up there, too, in the points, it moved Mercedes to second in the Constructors' Championship, which is a really good move for them. Kimi said, quote, it was also looking like we might not score any points at one point. I had a bad restart following the safety car, picking up lots of wheel spin. I had both Charles and Oscar either side. I braked late and was leaving space for the Ferrari, along with not closing the inside corner down too sharply for the McLaren. So that's how he saw it.
Really?
That's how he saw it.
That's how he saw it. That's okay. I mean, he had a phenomenal weekend.
He did.
I mean,
terrific.
He was, the second best weekend to Norris, I would say, just because just consistency through the whole weekend, just fast, and fast again. So super impressive by him. And obviously that seemed like that would be the weak spot for Mercedes in the constructors.
Yeah.
Was, right? I mean, it's Yuki aside. But I thought that would really hurt them. But actually Kimi is showing to actually be a massive asset in pushing the Mercedes up there in the constructors, and the other drivers aren't quite getting the job done in their support, So, you can't fault his weekend. The little incident, turn one, I said I wouldn't even give him a penalty for it. I would just call it a racing incident. And that's just what drivers do. We try to move people around and control the other driver somehow sometimes. And, I mean, just impeccable pace. And the be able to hold off Max there at the end. Yeah. I mean, the radio call just, we're going to leave you to it, Kimi. And they did. And I think he was helped a little bit by Max getting there just when his tires were probably not completely there, but still the pressure. Oh, you got Max Verstappen behind you, hunting you down, and he's closing. Yeah. It'd be very easy to make just the slightest mistake, and Max would have jumped him, and he didn't. So
he didn't.
Yeah,
and this kid's 19 years old, Paul.
Yeah.
And you got a 4-time world champion breathing down your neck. There's a lot of pressure there. Yeah, he finishes the season like this, Paul. He's honestly, he's up for Rookie of the Year. I think it was just a fantastic weekend from him.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and to see how he's progressed, there's been a lot of conversation about it. Did he come into Mercedes too soon? Did they fast track his super license and all that and got him in? And that's what Toto did. And he had confidence that he would deliver. And I think we were questioning that, mid-season or after the summer break. He was having kind of a lull in his performance, but he's really bounced back. Super, super proud of him and excited for him and the team that he bounced back so well. And he's got a teammate who's driving exceptionally well this year. So, it bodes well for the team in general.
It does. That is a good point. I mean, George is not slacking at
No.
all, and Kimi's running with him and obviously
Yeah.
beating him on occasion. Just super impressed by the turnaround, because when you're that young, I can't get a 19-year-old get my coffee order right. This guy's out there,
Right.
beating world champions. Pretty crazy.
Yeah,
pretty crazy
that's
stuff.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talking about world champion. Let's talk about him. Red Bull Max Verstappen P3, Yuki Tsunoda P17. Let's start with Max. Max had little to lose after bad qualifying sessions. He started in pit lane, new PU, completely different car setup, paid big dividends. On surface, I'm impressed. The team did an amazing job at turning things around, and not to take anything away with what Max delivered on track, because he drove his backside off, no doubt about it. But I'm also interested to know if these sprint weekends present a bit of a challenge. It kind of seemed like that only one FP1, qualifying wasn't that great. Sprint, they did okay, but then they made some changes and really kind of caught them off guard. Very difficult. He started on the hards, and the team and he said he had an early puncture, and they boxed out a sequence. I'm doubting that he had a puncture. I think that's fine to broadcast. The reason you're coming in early is, we had a puncture, I had to come in early. Yeah. I don't know. I think the team hit the strategy out of the park. I loved it. I appreciated that they totally rolled the dice on the two-stopper with the softs at the end. And I love it that his race engineer, GP, said, look, Max, these softs, they're fragile, so it's all in your hands. I'm going to put it in your hands. And Max knew what he meant, and, they just said, you're compromised on these, so do whatever you can do. And he absolutely delivered, no doubt about it. Ran out of tires at the end, as you mentioned, Paul, probably right to about the time he got to Kimi. He pretty much had run out of them, and ended up down in P3. But a fantastic result starting from pit lane, just incredible.
Yeah, just an amazing feat, really. I mean, the team... I don't think he's going to use Yuki's setup skills ever again, because I think that's what happened, right? Yuki tested said, I like this very much, and so they put it on Max's car in qualifying. It was like, what is this? No to Yuki as an engineer. That's not a future for him. So I what can you say? I do agree with you that the call for the tire was probably something they had in their head as soon as the VSC came out. Yeah. And as we saw, the hard wasn't necessarily a good tire to be on, and it wasn't really going to do him any favors. So putting him, obviously, you make that call out on the radio because hopefully all the other teams like, their strategy is completely screwed up. Where actually they're like, this is really good. Yeah. And at the time, I was thinking, this is great. If I'm at the back, I'm pitting right now, no matter what, whether I have a puncture or not, because quite frankly, I'm gaining 10 seconds. Yeah. In the first pit stop for everybody else, and that absolutely leapfrogged him. I mean, he absolutely drove his arse off. Oh, no doubt. But also, that strategy helped him get ahead of people that he didn't have to fight through. Yeah. Once they made their pit stop. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure they moved their deltas of when they're going to pit and there's pit strategy, time or lap.
I'm sure.
But ultimately, it was a great off the cuff call. And it worked brilliantly, and they matched that with Max's pace through the race, and his control of that soft tire at the end. He's using all the skills. He was. Yeah. It's not just about Max going out and flying around. He's also got to control himself so that he has the pace in that tire enough to actually catch the back of Kimi Antonelli, which he actually did. Yeah. So and then. You never know what can happen. As soon as you get on someone's butt, things can happen. Pressure could have broken on Kimi, and could have got the second place. So how's this guy keep doing it?
I don't know. It's amazing.
We've been through a number of eras.
We have
the Prosts, the Sennas, the Niki Laudas, the Schumachers. Yeah, and everyone's living this one, and this is definitely one of them.
It is.
He's quite something.
It is. He is absolutely something special. There's no doubt about it. Love him or hate him. You can hate him all you want, but last year in Brazil was a masterclass. That was like 96 Schumacher at Spain. This year, another incredible feat coming from pit lane to finish P3 is amazing on the podium. And he's not in the best car. McLaren have that. Max said, quote, "The team used the right strategy from start to finish." Well, yes, they did, Max, which allowed me to get through all the traffic ahead of me very efficiently, which, this is what I'm saying. This Sunday was Red Bull and Max firing on all cylinders, for sure. The strategy, the team, the pit stops, everything. So as much as Max did an amazing job on track, I think that team did an amazing job off track. So kudos to them.
Yep.
Let's talk about Yuki. He got a 10-second penalty for causing a collision with Stroll. And then another one for not serving the penalty correctly. That was on the team. They touched the car too soon, and that left him out of the points. However, Paul, before you start scoffing at the Yuki, he and his crew had the fastest pit stop award with a 1.95 second pit stop. So he was fast in the pit lane.
Well, his crew was fast in the pit lane.
Yeah, his crew was fast.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what Yuki has to do with it other than not stalling it on the exit. But, I don't know. It's a sad state of affairs, that second car.
It's sad. Let's see. Haas, F1, Esteban Ocon, P12, Ollie Behrman, P6. And Esteban, we'll start with him. Esteban started in the hards. That didn't work out for him. Obviously, the hards were not the tire, just like Max. He also got a puncture. He said they boxed him early, put him out of the touch of the points. Unlike Max, he didn't charge his way back up to the podium, but he was running with Ollie for a good portion of the race, but he was kind of out of sequence at that point. And that's unfortunate because I feel like this was a dual points finish just missed for Haas, given Ollie's pace. I think, 3/4 of the race when they were running, when they were running close together, Esteban definitely had the pace to run there. And I think there was some moments during the race. He looked pretty good. Pretty salty, but just unfortunately he was out of sequence, and that dropped him just out of the point. So, he's frustrated about it. He said, I would have been much further up today if I had not gotten a puncture in the early laps, and unfortunately it came as the VSC finished. So, and then the race restarted, and so that kind of put him on the back foot. I don't think Esteban had a bad race. I just think, you sometimes you win by the safety car, sometimes you don't, and he didn't, and it was unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, getting a puncture, obviously, that really puts you on the back foot. And as we saw at the end of the race, everyone was so close that you give up 2 seconds, you give up 3 places. So
great point.
So I don't think it's, anything bad about Ocon. He has a decent pace in him. And should, at least get close enough to Behrman to bring the car to the points, considering Behrman was halfway up the top 10.
Yeah, I feel like puncture corrected, I think Esteban would have been in the points, but that was just my feeling. Ollie Behrman, delivered points again for Haas, and that's probably not a surprise. He looked good all weekend long, Paul. He really did. I think Ollie had a fantastic weekend, very much like Kimi did. The pace seemed to be there for him. The pit stops and the strategy from Haas, totally on point, And this isn't the first time we've talked. It just in the past few races, Haas have really done a great job. This team should be very proud of themselves and what they're doing, and the strategy and the pit stops. Everything is good. The pace seemed to be there. Given Esteban's hard compounds, I think the team did the best they could for him. But for Ollie, he had some great passes, including, on Hülkenberg to finish in P6. And sure, the attrition ahead of him helped him, but you have to be there to take advantage of it, and he was, Paul.
You have to, Behrman's very, very impressive, as you say, just like Kimi, just kind of, he's had a little ebb and flow, but not a lot, honestly. He's getting the job done. He's fast.
He is.
That that braking into turn one? Was that when he passed Hülkenberg?
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
wow.
He set him up though. He had to go, several laps, and he set him up, and I was like,
oh yeah,
ooh, that's impressive for a youngster.
It
like
was
that.
really impressive, and he was very impressive on the brakes
Yeah.
into one. I mean, I'm like, okay, there you go. You're
Yeah.
there now, mate.
Yeah.
And wherever you're from.
Clearly not Essex.
So
That's funny.
Italian. Yeah, there's lots of Italian restaurants in Essex. I don't know, but anyway, but yeah. So yeah, very very impressive. He's just got pace for days. I mean,
He is quick,
it's
Paul.
like wow. But we saw that in his debut. He debuted
did.
in a Ferrari. He scored points, and he's obviously not at Ferrari now. He may be happy about that. I don't know, but he's obviously got just natural talent, natural pace, and now it's just a matter of honing it in, and the team doing a great job in giving him a car to actually show that pace off, and it's just getting his score up on the pit lane.
I think so
attitude.
too.
Yeah,
and I think Io Komatsu's doing a great job with him. Great job with the team in general.
Great demeanor, that guy.
Yeah, I just couldn't be happier for Haas. Really, I like what they're doing. Ollie to me seems like one of those Ferrari young drivers. He's been with them since 2021 or something like that. This is just one of those young drivers that I think could pay off for Ferrari. Like it has at times with Red Bull or Mercedes with Kimi. But I feel like Ollie, he's had some kind of bonehead moments that a rookie's going to have. So has Kimi, so did Max, Lewis did, they all do coming up. But I think Ollie, a lot of people, for obvious reasons, talk about, Isaac Hadjar is Rookie of the Year. I believe that, but I will say that's not that clear cut for me now. I think Ollie and Kimi,
it's an impressive batch of rookies.
It is.
I mean,
and
look
even,
at those guys.
Even Gabby, I know he cocked it up this weekend, but he's home Grand Prix, a lot of pressure on him. He's looked really good.
It's harder for him to shine in that car.
It
for
is.
Sure.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
The influx of rookies.
Yeah.
Just maybe the best group of rookies in 1 year ever, I think. I mean, they're just literally. I was watching the in-car of Hadjar. I was like, he's got 3 cars in front of him. There's the leader. He's like, I know. In a racing ball, it's like, man, you guys are just bringing it. It's amazing. It's great.
He did great. Let's talk about racing bulls. Liam Lawson, P7, Isaac Hadjar, P8. Liam and Isaac both started on the softs. It allowed Liam to jump Russell at the start, and that was impressive. Unlike those around him, he managed to make a one-stopper work, Paul, and to guard his track position. No, he'd most likely lose out to the Mercedes, and he did, of Russell. But he was really, at that point, Paul, I think that, Alan Permain and team were really all about consolidating that track position, right? Knowing you're going to lose a couple spots to the Mercs and that kind of thing, and that's all right. But he did 52-lap run on those mediums. So say what you will about Liam, but there isn't anybody running around there 57 laps on mediums thinking that's easy. And he did. I know everyone was talking about Hadjar for all the right reasons, but, I don't want to take the stuffing out of Liam. I think he had a hell of a weekend.
He did have a hell of a weekend, and that is not an easy feat.
No.
Obviously, they must have made the decision a long time ago. There's no way you can make it that long on that tire without actually starting that process from lap 1 on the tire, right?
Yeah.
You got to protect it. You got to be very careful, but you don't want to go backwards either. It's easy to make that mistake and push a little bit too hard. But he did a great job because I know his tires are old, but he still had pretty decent pace there at the end, enough to hold his teammate off. So I mean, he needs it, honestly.
He does.
Wilson's been kind of involved in the wars a little bit. It was interesting watching on Hadjar's car following Liam and Liam's little tricks. He's got a lot of Kevin Magnussen in him.
He does. He's got sharp elbows, does Liam?
Yeah, he does. He's very aware of how to use the space to protect his wing. I was just remembering, I was watching Magnussen race at the 8-hour at Bahrain this weekend, and he was battling with one of our cars, the Valkyrie, and he was not, he's not an easy guy, and
He's not.
definitely Lawson is definitely cut from the same cloth in that respect. So great job by him, and sometimes it's led to some clashes. Certainly not all his fault, but he needs to get some good finishes, stay in the points, because he does have a bit of pressure from his teammate scoring so many points and doing so well and highlighting, being on the podium, etc.
Yeah,
so
he does.
Lawson's fighting for his job, but
he is.
To do it this way, I think was very well done.
He needs this kind of performance for the balance of the season to secure that Racing Bull seat. Isaac, another good weekend for him. He's having to go at Piastri early on. I was like, good on you, because he was on softs. Came out behind traffic, though, and that really, after that second stop, that was an issue. He had trouble getting around Stroll, and then he had a little bit of a tirade and a rant on the radio about it. He was all mad.
Stop shouting at me.
He's like,
it's like, oh my God,
well,
really?
Stop being an infant, and I won't.
Yes, please.
Like, dude, come on.
Stop.
That's if I had one chink in his armor, it's like, dude, you got to suck it up, Buttercup. Be a pro at this. Stop sounding like a petulant child. He was able to make his way forward, though, finished right on the tail of Lawson. I think it was a good comeback, and he'd gotten mired in the traffic. So he looked racy as well. He was challenging Piastri, unfortunately dumped him out into traffic, and he was frustrated, but he managed to get back up there. Good moves, very good pace, some really good passing from Isaac. So I think on balance, despite being frustrated and those kind of things, I think Isaac had an equally great weekend.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I'd say some great passes out there.
Yeah.
He does need to calm his mentality down a little bit, but some of these guys, as I said, they're pretty young.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to deal with that a little bit. I've dealt with younger drivers before, and it's sometimes you got to bite your lip a little bit, but he goes a bit above that.
He does.
And hopefully they keep pulling him back on that, because it's just not the way you move forward to be a Max Verstappen or a, et cetera. You've got to control yourself a little bit, because it affects you in the car also. If you if you rant and rave and start, not taking ownership sometimes, or not being taking ownership for the team per se. If everyone makes mistakes, right? When you make a mistake like you did at the beginning of the season, not everyone, the whole team wasn't just like shouting at him and throwing stuff at him when he came into the paddock. He needs to afford them the same sensibility, I would say.
Right. George Russell was no less perturbed when the team started telling you your brakes are everything. He's like, I know I'm managing the brakes. Just, give me a heads up. Don't leave it to the last corner for me to find out, right? And that's all he said. Right. But he wasn't yelling, stop yelling at me. What are you doing? This is shit. He was, wasn't losing it. He was just like, I don't want to just plow into a wall at 200 miles an hour, so give me a heads up. But
very, very Yuki-ish, but performing at a higher level.
Yeah. Let's see, Sauber, Gabriel Bortoleto, DNF, unfortunately. Nico Hülkenberg, P9. Let's start with Gabby first. I felt bad for him. Tough home race. Had that wicked crash on Saturday. That, thankfully, he walked away from that. It was 50-plus G accident. Destroyed the car. The team had to work their tail off to rebuild that. That was tough. He carried the pressure and attention and adulation of an entire nation on the young man's shoulder. That's tough to deal with.
Very passionate. Very passionate nation.
Yeah, they are very passionate racers too, right? With the legacy and history of Senna and Barrichello and Massa and Piquet and all of them. They're very passionate motorsport fans, and so he had a lot on his shoulders. He had that crash, and then to get crashed out of the race with Lance ping-ponging him is just a shame, because I think he could have done well on Sunday like Nico did, and it's a tough situation as the team had to effectively rebuild an entire car between Saturday and Sunday, and I felt bad for him.
Well, they nearly made it up for the qualifying. Which is
they almost
impressive. They had him strapped in the car. I was like, "Whoa, how'd they do that?"
That was impressive.
So that was very impressive. It is hard to be a Brazilian Formula One driver. Hard, I say, but there's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of will from the Brazilian fans for you to be the next, Fittipaldi or Senna or Piquet, as all those guys, right? I mean, they've got a great heritage of literally mind-blowing talent behind the
in
wheel.
Racing heritage.
Yeah, and Bortoleto might be able to do something. The car's difficult for him to shine. I think the Brazilian fans understand racing very well too, and so it was unfortunate he wasn't able to show. If he'd have gotten the points, I think they would have been ecstatic. They understand enough.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of pressure on that weekend for him, I'm sure. It's just a shame. It just really petered out and ended up being a nothing weekend for him.
Yeah.
Because he's had some great weekends this season.
He has. He's doing a really good job. Nico, I texted you and Grace, Nico for Q3, and I nailed it. Nico looked quick all weekend, Paul.
Yeah.
He was
Good.
on it. Yeah. And he had a great qualifying session, made it to Q3, gave him a decent starting position. Team did a good job with the strategy, keeping him in the points. Had some good battles on track, too, and made a one-stopper work 38 laps on soft. So the old veteran Nico managing those tires. It's his second points finish in the last 3 races. So super happy for Nico. And you got to think, Paul, not so much maybe for this year, but I feel like he's building a pretty solid CV as to why Audi has him next year and why he's the guy to help Audi wade into the tepid waters of Formula One. I feel like he's making a pretty good case for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, he's obviously at the back end of his career on the front end. He's but he's going to do a solid and sometimes spectacular job in the car. It's not just that he's a decent driver. He can sometimes be extremely quick and really pull something out that you're not expecting, and he's really going to help that Audi group come in. Obviously, kind of they're all the Audi group. They're just not Audi by name right now. I mean, super. I'm not sure who I would choose other than him, really, for that kind of job.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think it's a great fit for that team who's trying to develop their first F1 car and that kind of thing. And I mean, they have a Sauber car. They'll learn from that. But you know what I'm saying, to help them sort of vet that car out and really help develop it over time. And I feel like Nico is a great asset.
I mean, it's a big undertaking next year with the new engine rules and everything. So absolutely.
Yeah, it's huge. Alpine, Pierre Gasly, P10. Another driver I think had a fantastic weekend was Pierre. Franco Colapinto, P15. Let's start with Pierre. Pierre had real pace all weekend, Paul. He converted that with a good qualifying effort, then ran to the points thanks to a strategy very well executed by Alpine. He scored in the sprint and the race this weekend, showing that the track sort of tended to flatter this Alpine, which was good. Started on the softs, but when on the mediums, he was really kind of able to move up on those mediums. That car liked the mediums quite a bit better, and it did great. It was great to see Pierre on it. He's had a run of bad luck of late, and it was great to see him back up into the points in in P10. So he said that I'm a little disappointed that we did not score more, as I felt the car had more pace than what we were able to show. I think having better track position earlier in the race might have benefited us at the end. Still, no complaints. We score 1 point, which we'll definitely take given our level at recent races, and we look into the data and see what we could have done differently and improve next time.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely been driving a shitbox. So,
sure.
I don't know if it flattered the car or took away some of the unflattering negatives that the car has at other tracks.
Right.
Good for Pierre. We always hold him in high regard. When they give him a halfway decent car, he gets some stuff done. Right.
He does,
and he did. He looked really feisty there at the end, as it was so close between that 7th backwards group. It could have been anything. He could have scored 8th. Who knows? With a little bit of a luck here or there. So, super impressive job by him. He enjoyed his weekend, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's definitely at the top or near the very, very top of, if you ask me, who some of the most underrated drivers on the current grid are, and I think Pierre's one of them.
Yeah.
He just kind of goes unnoticed because he's in a Alpine, but I think he's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Franco Colapinto, I didn't talk about it. Fresh off a new contract announcement for 2026, wasn't able to match Pierre in pace, but the clash with Hamilton on the opening lap, that didn't help him. Made it a very difficult afternoon. Plus, he had that incident in the sprint. The team had to basically do a full car rebuild from that. So it was a bit of a ragged weekend. Off of the great news that Franco is signed to the contract in 2026, and that surprises me a little.
Sure surprises me too.
Yep.
There's got to be a lot of commercial interest in there, not driver talent, because as we've seen with these rookies, there's a lot of talent out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Alpine are going to have the Mercedes engine in the back. They've got halfway decent chance of not sucking so bad.
Right.
But I think Colapinto must bring something a bit more, because he needs to bring more than his talent, because it really hasn't showed very well.
Yeah, not an Alpine, it hasn't.
No.
Williams, Alex Albon P11, Carlos Sainz P13. Alex started on the mediums, said that they struggled all weekend with pace, but solved for some of that on Sunday, I thought. And that was good on the team, because they really looked out to lunch on FP1. And it just looked like one of those stories that this just is not going to be a track for the Williams. But I was impressed with what they did turn around. It wasn't like they turned around to be on the podium, but they did significantly turn that pace around. Alex reckons they stayed out too long, though, on their first stint, and that may have kept them out of the points from his seat.
Yeah, no, it was impressive to turn it around like that. I mean, no one really had a horrible weekend team-wise, or at least car-wise. Everyone had a shot at it, but they definitely brought something a bit better for the race, and could have very easily scored points if things had been a little different here or there. So,
Yeah, I agree. And Carlos, a little different. He had that clash with Hamilton. That was deemed a racing incident. Carlos split strategy with Alex, though. He started on softs, and Albon started on mediums. And it looked like the team had made the right adjustments to the car from Friday in the sprint. So kudos to them. But Carlos said, not the day I was hoping for. Once I got squeezed at turn one, I had considerable damage to the car, and my race was compromised from there. So that's kind of what happened to Carlos. Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso, P14, Lance Stroll, P16. Fernando and Lance started on the hards. That's unfortunate, because clearly that wasn't the one to start on. I'm a little miffed, because I thought, judging by Friday and Saturday, that the Astons looked to have some really good pace around.
Right.
Alonso,
now, where did Alonso start? He qualified in the top 10, right?
He was a Q3, right? Yeah. And so, I was a little surprised. He too stopped, just couldn't find the pace that they had during the sprint, and that left him out of the points. He said this. He goes, "It wasn't a good day out there today. We took a risk starting on the hard tire. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off. To finish P14 is disappointing, especially after a strong sprint yesterday." And I agree with him.
Yeah, so I don't like the call, split strategy, sure. But when you're competitive enough to be in the fight in the top 10 in qualifying, I feel like you don't roll the dice so much, especially Aston Martin how their season's been going.
Yeah.
Right? If you're at the back, you're 17th, 18th, hey, sure,
Nothing to lose.
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Nothing to lose. But when you have a car that's lively and competitive, just kind of stay the course a little bit. Don't try to be too cheeky, because optimally, that's what happened. The cheekiness kind of bit them.
It did, because where you qualified and how you were in the sprint race, you were looking to consolidate a top 10 in the points.
Yeah. You should have done it, and then just don't take any big risks. Just rely on the competitiveness that the car has showed that weekend, and just fight it out.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. Lance clashed with Bortoletto early on and punted him out, and then Lance was punted by Tsunoda, leaving him. Well, he spun and dropped him to the back and out of the points. So not good with his weekend either.
No.
And that's enough about Lance, isn't it?
I think we just move on.
Should we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll move on. It is a different category. Let's see. Ferrari. Oh, this hurts, Paul.
Oof.
This hurts
This is
me.
late in the podcast for this.
Oh, it hurts me so bad.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc DNF, Lewis Hamilton DNF. Charles got a good start, but on the restart of lap 6, we all know what happened. That damned Oscar. No, Kimi and Oscar came together, punted Charles.
First lap nutter.
Yeah. He was out. As bad as it was, the dual DNF means Ferrari fell to 4th in the Constructors' Championship. Folks, that's worth millions and millions of dollars. That's huge. Very painful. For Lewis, same thing. Lewis started on the soft, got tagged by Sainz early on. Then later, he ran into the back of Colapinto, got his front wing lodged under him, had to box, change the wing. Then he had damage, all kinds of damage on the underfloor, and he got a 5-second bit. They just boxed him after he served the penalty. And I think I even texted right when he boxed. I said, I just parked that car, save the engine. But
right, and I think he was begging to be parked too.
Yeah, I think he was too. Yeah, I think he was too. Interesting today. Lewis pretty vocal in the news, but I saw this. John Elkin, the Ferrari chairman, had basically, this is on motorsport.com, said, we have drivers who need to focus on driving and talk less about themselves. Now, folks, having been a long-standing Ferrari fan, as evidenced by the picture behind me, and Paul knows this about me, I loved Ferrari since I was a little boy. I'm telling you, the Lewis situation is not working. And he's specifically talking about Lewis.
Shocker.
Yeah. And John, I'd say Mr. Elkins getting frustrated with Lewis's vibe. And things are not, and as I texted that to Paul and Grace, I said, Lewis learning that he's not bigger than Ferrari.
No, right.
So it's a hard lesson, but
it was a tough weekend due to obviously, but then Lewis Charles did a great job.
He was
innocent victim. Yeah, Lewis, bad qualifying, puts you fighting with Colapinto and Sainz and all those people, push you in jeopardy, and there's a jeopardy compounded and the damage that ensues. So
yeah, right.
You bring it on yourself to. In that case, it really isn't working.
It's
I said, I keep commenting on the relationship between Lewis and his engineer. It's very cold, very much like they just met each other for the first time yesterday, and they're not really finding that rapport that Lewis, I think, needs.
I do too. I think Lewis at McLaren and certainly Mercedes, I think there's a lot of hand-holding there. Just his personality. Ferrari, not so much. And if he felt like he could go to Ferrari and pull off a Schumacher, not happening.
Yeah.
Yep, not happening. Just as Schumacher didn't do that going to Mercedes, coming out of retirement, right?
True. Very true.
So anyway, all right, let's give out some awards. We tend to do that. And the first award we like to give out happens to be Move of the Race.
Seriously, Todd?
Yes.
Stop
I'm
yelling
serious.
at Todd.
Move of the Race. I think we were spot on all of our picks, Paul. What'd you have as Move of the Race?
So. Yeah, I got the Red Bull doing the pit lane start.
Yeah.
Just throwing everything at it, new engine, everything. And cheekily on the aside is the puncture call for
Air
the pit
quotes.
lane during the VSC.
Yeah. I moved the race. I had Red Bull's strategy given their early quote puncture. Although I would say honorable mentions to McLaren's response to Red Bull's strategy. I think McLaren did a very good job of navigating that as well. So, but yeah, I picked Red Bull for that. I thought that was a really good move. All right, next award. Well, this is always a fan favorite. It's Donkey of the Race. We'll
do it live.
Yes, we're doing it live. Yes. It's a different category, Paul.
It is. But Lance didn't win it this week.
No, he didn't. I think we both.
It to Bortoletto.
Yeah, we both give it to Bortoletto.
Sorry.
Poor guy. I know.
I don't think it was all his fault, but it was just a
not in the race
weekend, right?
Yeah, it was a tough weekend. Yeah. Who amongst us given our first opportunity to jump in and be an official Formula One driver for a team, showing up at our home race with the entire nation all over us, media, everyone, the extra, who amongst us wouldn't try to push a little harder and make something happen to give the hometown a thrill? And who amongst us, maybe went over, put a foot over the line? And I think that's what he did.
Yeah.
It's totally normal.
Definitely.
I would have been right there with him.
Yeah.
I'd have been right there. I'd have been in the car down in Austin, and I'd have...
You'd be right on the inside, smacking the inside of the pit
a little
wall.
too hot, Paul, and I would have, That's totally what I would have done.
Thinking of the glory in the papers on the Monday morning.
I think, oh, man, everybody's going to love me and all the hometown crowd.
McCandless wins.
I know.
US Grand Prix on debut.
And I'd go right through the turn in the wall.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, we got one more award left. Oh, yeah.
Controversy.
The controversy. All right, Paul, driver of the race. Who'd you give it to?
I had to give it to Max. I mean,
that's a good shout,
superlative.
Paul.
I mean,
it was
what he did that whole race. I mean, he did a lot of things. And
I absolutely I could give it to Max. I just to switch, I gave it to Lando. I think Lando had a fantastic weekend, dominated the whole weekend, right? When he needed to. I mean, we're watching him bounce back from everybody's like, oh, Oscar's got it. He's in the pocket. Lando's out here, not sure, talking and blaming himself. And a lot of people being a full-time therapist for Lando. Boom. I mean, he's turned it around, and now he's leading by 24 points. But I will throw a bone to the 19-year-old Kimi. I think he had a fantastic race, and I, for one, wouldn't want to be 19 years old behind the wheel of a Mercedes with total wolf breathing down your neck and Max Verstappen right on my tail and holding your shit collectively together to finish P2, I think is a great job.
It was a great job. Yeah, there's a lot of good drives actually this week.
Yeah, there was. There really was. Nico's is a good job to the points. Ollie Behrman a great job. No doubt about it. I think of all the guys that were in the top 10, several of them just a great job. There. So anyway. All right. Well, that's what we think about the Brazilian Grand Prix, but let us know what you think about it. You can do that by going to theparkforme.com and sharing your opinion. If you like this podcast, hey, give us a good rating, share it with some friends, tell people in the socials all about us. We've been podcasting for 20 years.
Is it lit to this date?
Yeah, 2005, 2025.
Wow. And so it's this date, like in November, 20 years.
No, technically, all right, okay, fine, Paul, 19 years. It was really the first of the season, like that March-ish.
Okay.
So anyway, it's been a long time.
I just don't know when to celebrate,
I know. And it's so funny, somebody sent me like, hey, this is a podcast and people talking about, hey, these podcasts and they're great and they're all wonderful. We've been doing this a long time though. And 20 years coming up on. So, yes. How about that?
Yes.
So, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters because we could not and would not do this podcast. And if you needed a compelling reason to be a Patreon supporter, you can do that. If you'd like to support us, what do you get? You get all the podcasts and the YouTube video commercial free. None of the commercials, none of that stuff. And I post them up there first for everybody as a patron. You get it first. And so if you...
And a free tour of the Heart of Racing Garage if you...
Yes, that's right. That's right. You get a free tour. So Paul will be there. And so, yes, exactly. So, all right. Well, Paul, we got Vegas coming up, not this weekend, next weekend. So you got a week off to get down to Home Depot and get all your...
no, I'm back on the road.
Oh, are you?
Daytona testing this week.
Oh, this week. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Daytona testing. So, if you're loitering around Daytona eating some of those 4-week-old roller dogs and stale nachos.
Oof. That's right.
Paul and I We've eaten some shit in that media hospitality area.
There's a lot of shit in there.
Yes, we have. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, so there you go. So Paul will be doing that. But I'll go find Grace. We'll come back. We'll find out what Grace thinks about Lando winning and her team and McLaren, et cetera, et cetera. So until next week when we do it all over again, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camera, saying so long.
That's it, man. Game over, man.